purpose and scope of Common Criteria 5, CC5, focus on the art and discipline of designing, reviewing, and monitoring controls that reliably produce the outcomes expected across all Trust Services Criteria (TSC) categories. CC5 ensures that every control, whether technical, procedural, or organizational, has a defined owner, measurable frequency, and verifiable evidence of operation. It connects governance, risk management, and daily execution by ensuring that what is promised under CC4 is consistently achieved through effective, testable design. The result is a control environment that is deliberate, repeatable, and auditable rather than reactive or ad hoc. In practice, CC5 turns abstract commitments into verifiable performance and forms the operational backbone of the SOC 2 framework. Every control begins with clear objectives and outcomes. A control objective articulates the intent, what risk or commitment the control addresses, while the outcome defines success. For example, an access control objective may aim to prevent unauthorized system entry, with success measured through verified access review results and no unapproved accounts. Each objective must map back to a relevant risk or TSC category, such as confidentiality or availability. Defining tolerances and escalation paths for control failure gives management visibility into impact. Missed reviews, expired certificates, or delayed patches are treated as measurable deviations, not vague weaknesses. Controls are effective only when their intended outcomes can be described, observed, and confirmed. Strong design principles ensure that controls function predictably and withstand failure or manipulation. Foundational principles include least privilege, segregation of duties, and multi-level approvals to prevent conflicts of interest. Controls should combine preventive, detective, and corrective layers for redundancy. Simplicity and standardization are vital. Complex controls fail silently and defy testing. Design must also include tamper resistance and an evidentiary trail that proves operation. Well-designed controls produce data that can be independently validated. Every approval, log, and alert serves as proof of integrity. When design emphasizes transparency and resilience, monitoring becomes an act of confirmation, not discovery. Effective controls are built on control statements that work-structured descriptions that define the who, what, when, and how. Each statement must specify the actor responsible, the triggering condition, the frequency, required inputs, and expected outputs. For instance, the system administrator, actor, reviews privileged access, action, monthly, frequency, using exported access logs, input, and documents results in the ticketing system, output. Statements must also define boundaries, what's included or excluded, and identify evidence locations and retention timelines. A precise control statement transforms intention into enforceable expectation, providing auditors with clarity and the organization with accountability. A thorough design evaluation checklist helps confirm that controls are complete and testable before they are put into production. Key criteria include clarity, practicality, and traceability to risks or commitments. Each control should have a designated owner and backup to ensure coverage during absences. Integration with systems and workflows ensures that control execution fits naturally into daily operations rather than requiring special intervention. Finally, controls must be testable. Sample populations and evidence should be available without reconstruction. A control that cannot be tested, reproduced, or independently verified is not ready for audit. Organizations must distinguish between key and non-key controls to focus assurance efforts efficiently. Key controls address material risks, those with direct bearing on commitments, financial accuracy, or regulatory obligations, while non-key controls support overall resilience. Key controls often have higher documentation standards, sampling requirements, and management oversight. Redundancy may exist, but compensating controls must be analyzed for equivalent coverage and independence. Documenting the rationale for key control designation prevents ambiguity during audits and clarifies reliance points for both management and external reviewers. The quality of procedures and runbooks determines whether a control is executed consistently across personnel and time. Procedures must describe steps in sufficient detail, preconditions, required approvals, execution instructions, and expected outputs. Error handling and rollback paths ensure continuity during failure scenarios. Including screenshots, queries, or configuration references enhances repeatability. Version control and approval history confirm that procedures evolve under governance rather than through informal updates. A well-maintained runbook is more than documentation. It is a living operational safeguard that preserves continuity and auditability even as teams or technologies change. A comprehensive monitoring strategy transforms control execution from static compliance into continuous assurance. Monitoring spans 3 levels: management reviews, automated alerts, and independent second-line checks. Dashboards display real-time control metrics, while threshold-based alerts highlight deviations before they escalate. Exception queues centralize anomalies for triage and closure, and performance indicators, KRIs, tie control activity to risk posture. Monitoring strength lies in its feedback loop controls. Controls that produce measurable data feed governance with early warning signals, ensuring the organization adapts before issues compound. Maintaining a defined review cadence and independence keeps oversight reliable and impartial. Some controls require daily checks, like system logs or alert dashboards, while others, such as access reviews, may occur monthly or quarterly. Reviewers must be qualified and independent from those executing the control to avoid self-assessment bias. Periodic rotation of reviewers prevents familiarity from dulling scrutiny. Every review cycle should produce documented outcomes, including approval or escalation decisions stored in a retrievable format. Independence ensures that oversight acts as a genuine safeguard rather than a procedural formality. The issue detection and escalation framework ensures that identified deviations receive the right attention at the right time. Severity levels, critical, high, medium, or low, should be predefined, with corresponding response timelines. Paging or ticketing channels must be configured for automatic notification, ensuring that no critical alert languishes unacknowledged. Interim mitigations, such as temporary containment measures, maintain stability while root cause analysis proceeds. Every escalation must be documented, capturing decisions, responsible parties, and resolution outcomes. This structure keeps incidents from becoming institutional blind spots and ensures organizational learning after each event. Finally, CC5 emphasizes automation and tooling enablement to sustain control quality at scale. Workflow platforms manage approvals and attestations, enforcing consistency in timing and evidence. Log pipelines and monitoring tools centralize event data for anomaly detection, while automated evidence collectors capture screenshots, reports, or configuration states at regular intervals. Alerts notify owners when scheduled controls fail to execute or when thresholds are breached. Automation does not replace accountability. It amplifies it, reducing manual overhead and human error while preserving a verifiable trail of compliance. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Proving control effectiveness depends on verifiable evidence of operation. Evidence may include tickets documenting access reviews, configuration logs showing change approvals, or monitoring reports summarizing incidents and response times. Each item should be time-stamped, attributed to its origin, and stored in a canonical repository, often a compliance or governance platform with restricted access and immutability features. Evidence must demonstrate that controls operated as intended within the defined period, not retroactively fabricated to satisfy audit requests. Having organized, authentic, and retrievable evidence makes audits efficient and defensible, while also enabling internal leadership to validate performance between external attestations. Sampling from management reviews ensures that monitoring reflects actual control behavior rather than assumptions. The sampling population should match the defined control scope and timeframe, such as all changes in a quarter or all privileged accounts active in a month. Random or risk-based selection methods confirm objectivity. For example, larger samples may be drawn from higher-risk systems. Completeness checks verify that no eligible records were excluded, and accuracy checks confirm that sampled evidence aligns with system data. Each sample must be traceable to the underlying artifact, such as a ticket or log entry, demonstrating that what was reviewed corresponds precisely to operational records. A structured quality assurance (QA) process provides a second layer of confidence. Peer reviews of control design validate that objectives, frequency, and responsibilities remain clear and achievable. Periodic walkthroughs with control owners test whether documentation matches reality, while spot checks of execution verify that evidence meets standards. Over time, threshold calibration, such as adjusting monitoring alert sensitivity, keeps control performance relevant to evolving risks. All QA activities must be tracked, and corrective actions should include target dates, owners, and closure proof. QA transforms compliance into continuous improvement, ensuring the control framework evolves rather than stagnates. Implementing continuous monitoring signals helps identify emerging issues before they become reportable exceptions. Lagging indicators, such as overdue access reviews, reveal control degradation after the fact, while leading indicators, like skipped automation tasks or rising alert volumes, predict potential failures. False positive suppression and alert tuning prevent staff fatigue, maintaining focus on genuine anomalies. Correlation across monitoring systems adds context. A network alert tied to a failed patch window tells a more meaningful story than isolated data points. Continuous monitoring doesn't just detect failures, it provides the situational awareness necessary to manage risk dynamically and proactively. Governance over changes to controls ensures stability and traceability as the organization evolves. Every modification follows a structured sequence: propose, approve, implement, and validate. Proposed changes must undergo risk assessment to evaluate potential impacts on assurance coverage. Implementation should include rollback criteria in case a new design or automation introduces errors. Validation confirms that altered controls still achieve their objectives without introducing gaps. All documentation, updated procedures, owner notifications, and revised evidence references should be updated immediately. This governance cycle keeps control evolution deliberate, preventing drift from operational reality or audit expectations. Discipline in exception management is what separates mature programs from reactive ones. Each exception record must identify the condition, cause, and impact, with clear approval for any temporary deviation. Compensating controls, such as manual reviews replacing automated checks, must be defined and time-limited. Expiration dates and follow-up testing ensure exceptions don't linger beyond necessity. Closure requires retest evidence verifying restoration of normal operation. Exceptions tell auditors as much about culture as compliance. Organizations that document and resolve deviations transparently demonstrate integrity, while those that conceal or delay corrections expose governance weakness. Conducting pre-audit self-testing strengthens readiness and confidence ahead of external reviews. Control owners and internal auditors should simulate audit procedures, performing dry runs of sampling, evidence collection, and review documentation. These rehearsals validate completeness of populations and identify gaps before they reach auditors. Any deficiencies discovered should be remediated promptly, with proof of closure recorded. A final readiness sign-off by accountable leaders confirms that the organization is prepared for examination. Self-testing transforms audits from stressful events into confirmations of ongoing operational discipline. Defining metrics for control health turns control management into an analytical discipline. Core metrics include coverage, percentage of systems or processes under control, timeliness, on-schedule execution rate, and success rate, controls operating without exceptions. Trend metrics, such as mean time to close exceptions or audit findings, reveal organizational responsiveness. Ratios comparing automated to manual controls indicate efficiency gains and residual human dependency. These indicators feed dashboards that inform governance decisions and resource allocation. Over time, control metrics form a leading indicator of risk posture, enabling early intervention before issues escalate into non-compliance. Training and enablement for control owners ensure that those responsible for executing or monitoring controls understand their roles deeply. Role-based content should explain both the how and the why of each assigned control. Quick reference guides, escalation playbooks, and office hours provide accessible support. New hires or internal transfers must complete onboarding specific to their control responsibilities, while refresher training keeps skills current. Tracking competency through completion logs and periodic knowledge checks verifies readiness. A culture of control literacy transforms compliance from a centralized function into a shared, organization-wide responsibility. Maintaining strong documentation standards and hygiene protects institutional knowledge and audit defensibility. Templates for control statements, procedures, and evidence summaries promote consistency. Naming conventions and metadata tags help locate related documents quickly, while retention schedules ensure evidence persists for the required audit period. Access controls on documentation systems prevent unauthorized edits. Regular content reviews confirm accuracy as systems, owners, or frequencies change. Poor documentation turns good controls invisible. Disciplined maintenance ensures they remain transparent, testable, and trustworthy. Understanding and avoiding control anti-patterns keeps the environment robust. Common failures include controls that exist only on paper, policy only, high-risk actions approved by a single individual, or evidence fabricated after the fact. Over-reliance on manual steps without secondary checks increases error probability and reduces scalability. Mature organizations replace these anti-patterns with automation, peer review, and strong evidence validation. A self-critical culture that acknowledges and eliminates weak designs demonstrates genuine compliance maturity and continuous improvement. The maturity progression for CC5 mirrors the journey from compliance to assurance excellence. Early programs rely on manual, checklist-driven activities with inconsistent documentation. As maturity develops, procedures are standardized, reviews are scheduled, and metrics begin to quantify control performance. The next stage introduces automation, evidence captured automatically, dashboards updated in real time, and alerts for missed executions. The final evolution integrates predictive analytics, using historical patterns to forecast potential control failures. At this level, monitoring becomes self-sustaining, feeding insights back into design and risk management. In conclusion, CC5 unites control design, execution, and monitoring into a disciplined life cycle of accountability. It ensures that every safeguard, technical or procedural, has a defined purpose, measurable success criteria, and visible oversight. Ownership, evidence, and escalation rigor transform governance ideals into operational reliability. Metrics and automation elevate compliance into proactive assurance, where performance is monitored continuously and exceptions are managed transparently. By mastering CC5, organizations demonstrate not only that their controls exist, but that they function consistently and evolve intelligently. The next step, CC6, logical access controls, builds on this precision, shifting focus to how access, identity, and authentication systems enforce these principles in daily operation.